What's up, Boo Sugars? I'm Amber and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, welcome for the first time. If you are already a member of the family, welcome back. Now, I know I have been promising y'all for the longest some different type of content. Today is definitely going to be some different type of content. Now, this is a true crime video, and I'm letting y'all know off the back, your girl was inspired by Bailey Sarian. What's up, Bailey? I love her channel. If y'all haven't been watching her content, y'all go jump on her content. Like, she's super entertaining. She does like the murder mystery and makeup Monday and all that stuff. Like, sis, she got the gab for this. But yes, it inspired me to do some true crime videos as well. I have always been into watching like true crime, researching crime, the paranormal, ghosts, aliens, and all that stuff. I've always been into like that weird stuff. I'm just a weird person who likes makeup and fat and food. Like, I like hot wings and makeup and shit. Like, and ghosts and, So, this is my first true crime video. And today, we're going to be talking about someone whose parents probably should have never slept together. His name is Luis Garavito. He has been coined as the worst serial killer in the world. I don't know how you can acquire the title of the worst serial killer in the world. How evil do you have to be to become the worst serial killer in the world? Like, serial killers are already horrible. But if you want to find out, like, about this bag of shittery and how he became the worst serial killer in the world, honey, please stay tuned. Luis Garavito was born on January 25th, 1957 in Geneva, Colombia. And he was born to Miss Rosa Cobillo, and his father's name was Manuel Garavito. Now, he was born in Geneva, Colombia, which is like the southwestern tip of Colombia. And Colombia is known for like its beautiful architecture. It's like close proximity to the Andes Mountains, the coffee, banana plantations. Like, it's a really beautiful place. It almost sounds like your girl may want to book a trip there, but I can't do that right now because of COVID. But yes, he was a native of Geneva, Colombia. Now, word on the curb is Luis, he was abused as a kid. His father was a very abusive and aggressive alcoholic, and whenever he did try to seek like any help or any counsel from his neighbors abused him too. So it's safe to say that he had a very, very tumultuous childhood. And as far as his mother was in the picture. She was like a housekeeper and also like a housewife. But I mean, she was a victim of abuse as well. Like, his father used to lay hands on him and his mother. So his mother wasn't really in the position to protect him as a kid. So he never did really find that comfort and that safety as a child. So he just kind of adapted to his abusive childhood and his abusive situation. So we can already kind of see how this is already not starting out to be good. And although they say hurt people hurt others, I mean, yeah, but honey, sis should have got some help. Now, as the times went on, Mr. Garavito, he did like a lot of traveling. And I'm not talking about like leisurely traveling. He was just kind of like a transient. He traveled all throughout Colombia and also parts of Ecuador. And he did this to like find work. He was never just really stable. So he worked odd and end jobs just all over the country of Colombia, as well as the southern tip of Ecuador. And the crazy thing about this, now what started to happen, it seemed like for some reason, everywhere Mr. Garavito laid his hat, kids came up missing. Yes, children came up missing. I told y'all now this was gonna be a little trigger warning for y'all. This story is about kids. Children just started coming up missing like everywhere this man went. Now, common sense will be like, hey, ain't nobody gonna notice these kids missing or anything. Well, now, let's talk about like the history of what was going on in Colombia at the time. Children came up missing between like the years of 1992 and 1998. This is when Garavito was like active. From our knowledge, there has been suspicion that he was active longer, but when it comes to the known years where he was actively, you know, serial chopping, I want to be careful with the verbiage that I use because honey, this YouTube and they be tripping. But he was active between the years of 1992 and 1999. Now during that time, Colombia was like embroiled in this massive like civil war and unrest. So during this time, it would be very common to find a lot of children just living on the streets. A lot of children were orphaned, didn't really have anywhere to go. So it would be like thousands of children, like young children. I'm not talking about teenagers who were like runaways or anything. I'm talking about small, minor children who were seeking refuge on the streets and did not have anywhere to go. There were several reasons why this happened. Some of their parents were too impoverished to take care of them. Some of their parents were missing, dead, embroiled in gang violence. All types of things were going on that caused a lot of these children to be orphaned, unfortunately. So, with that being said, it was very common for children at that time to be involved not as perpetrators of violence but also victims of violence. And because it was so much unrest going on at the time, it was becoming to be quite, and I hate to say taxing, but it was very difficult for a lot of people to just kind of take notice that children were coming up missing. For the longest, children continued to come up missing, and over time, detectives started to stumble across massive graves. And one of those graves was found in Trujillo, Colombia. And that particular grave site had like 13, they found like 13 remains of boys. And after forensics collected all of the data and all of the evidence, um, they were able to find that the victims were Caucasian male boys, and their age ranges were from 8 to 16 years of age. And these particular remains, these victims did not die of a natural death. They were murdered. And what they found on these remains were like butcher marks, burns. There were broken skeletal remains, like broken skulls. So they were able to find that a lot of these victims had suffered like a tremendous amount of trauma, which was the cause of death for these children. Now, at the time, they didn't really have any leads. And a lot of people, like I said earlier, it was just so much going on in Colombia. People didn't really just pay attention to children coming up missing. And no one ever just took the time to just be like, hey, dude over there look a little suspicious. Like nobody knew exactly where to start at the time. Being the fact that a lot of these children were orphaned, it was very common for there not to be any missing persons reports filed because some of their parents were either no longer alive or they just weren't looking for their children. So there weren't at the time, there weren't that many children like missing reports. So it was very easy for Mr. Garavito to kind of be real slick with it, because at the time when nobody really looking for him, when nobody checking for him, Colombia was very indifferent on their missing children problem here, okay? However, that changed when a young man by the name of Ivan Salvagal went to sell some lottery tickets with his friends. And now these particular lottery tickets, they were, I guess you could just say they were raffle tickets. He was selling those tickets with his friends. He was doing like some fundraising for his school. So he went out with his friends to sell tickets, but Yvonne never returned home. And his mother was like, okay, my child hasn't come home. Like, what's up? You know, ring, ring 911. Where the hell my kid at? So she reached out to the police department, and y'all, at first they were like initially reluctant to take on her case, and they were just kind of reluctant to look for her son. But she kept pressing the issue. She's like, hey, my son, he never not comes home. Like, something's not right. You know, as a mother, even though I ain't got no kids, but as a mother, you know your children. And I don't know what parent wouldn't be alarmed if their child goes out to sell raffle tickets with their friends and they never come back home. So she kept pressing and kept pressing. Thank God she did. And her case got the attention of a detective, Aya. And his name was Fernando Aya. And Fernando Aya was like, hey, you know, we heard the news about your son missing. We're going to do everything we can to make sure that we find your son and we bring him home safely. They worked together and they did everything they could to find her son. And I'm going to tell you, what Fernando Aya uncovered was baffling. Fernando at the time was currently investigating the grave site. Remember the grave site that I mentioned in Trujillo with those 13 remains? He was currently investigating that grave site. And at the time, he didn't have any leads, but he kind of had like a hunch that, hey, just maybe these cases may be related. So Aya, he aggressively investigated, and you know, they looked everywhere they possibly could trying to find Yvonne. And at the time, they did not yield any results, but they just kept on looking. So during this time, Detective Aya, he decided to reach out to Detective Carlos Herrera. And Carlos Herrera, along with his partner, they were currently outside of Bogota, Colombia, in a city called Nacereras. And they were investigating a grave site that had 14 bodies. So right now, we are already at a kill count. What's that, 27? So it's 27 bodies of Caucasian male children ages 8 to 16. And just like the bodies that were found in Trujillo, they had the same type of trauma inflicted on them. Cuts, burns, blunt force trauma, same MO. So it's safe to say they're like, hey, I think we're dealing with the same guy here. It's safe to say we're dealing with the same guy. These two different detectives, they in two parts of Colombia, hundreds of miles away. They come across another mass burial. And this particular mass burial, y'all, 36 males aged 8 to 16, same type of trauma. So at this point, we have established a pattern here. Either we got multiple active serial killers, or this is all the work of one person. At the time, there still wasn't any evidence. So they had essentially 4 different investigations going on here. One in Villavicencio, where they're trying to find a missing boy, Ivan Salvador. So they got Ivan Salvador, they're trying to find him. They're really working against time to try to find Ivan Salvador and get him home safely to his parents. So that's one investigation. Then there's an investigation in Palmyra. Then there's an investigation in Trujillo. So they got all these different investigations going on. Okay, something's fishy, something ain't right. They're like, okay, what the hell going on? All these kids coming up missing. So as they're investigating now, they get another call. Y'all, I'm not making this up. I am not making this up. They get another call from a detective in Ecuador. Yes, Ecuador. And there in Ecuador, there are a lot of mothers, they're like inquiring about their children. Like there are a lot of mothers and a lot of fathers, they're like filing these missing persons reports because their sons are missing. They're not coming home. They haven't heard anything. They haven't found any remains. Like they don't know anything. And at the time, there was a little unrest going on in Ecuador as well, but they did have a little more structure when it came to the legal system than Colombia did. So it was much easier for detectives to kind of establish a timeline of when the children went missing in Ecuador than it was in Colombia. However, this still was very useful for Detective Aya to compare his notes. The detective started to pick up a little steam, and this was like so good. Mainly in Ecuador, detectives were kind of starting to pick up a little steam and develop some leads in the case of the burial site that they found in Ecuador. They eventually started to build a timeline, especially with the last burial site. In this particular burial site, they found 3 more male victims. Victims were not completely decomposed, so they were able to kind of construct a better timeline and also able to get an idea of the method of death. And then also they had launched like this huge investigation, of course, and they were able to gather some leads, and they started talking to some local prostitutes and some local store owners who had seen these last 3 male victims, and they were able to just kind of, like I said, establish a timeline. But here is where the story goes left. When I say left, exit stage left, like all the way left. During this investigation, they talked to some prostitutes in the area, and what was beginning to develop as a story was they were seeing a lot of these victims with another man that did not fit the description of Luis Garavito in person. Now, on paper, they were able to develop like a profile, like forensics were able to develop a profile. With this profile, they were able to narrow down the height of the perpetrator as well as what he would look like, what his facial construction would look like. And they also found like a pair of shoes at the last burial site, and these shoes had like this irregular wear pattern on it. So they were like, okay, whoever left these shoes, they are someone who apparently walks with a limp. I mean, I don't know what type of limp. I don't know if he had a limp like a pimp or he had a limp like a little old frail man. I don't know. But they were able to establish that this particular person walked with a limp. Now, the person that the street workers were saying that they saw the kids with, who eventually came up, they said that the person fit the description of Luis Garavito. However, when they talked to some other witnesses, some of the witnesses also said that the person that they saw the children with was another man by the name of Pedro Garcia. Now, I'm going to tell y'all about Mr. Garcia. Pedro Garcia was also an active serial killer and rapist. So at the time, there was like this crossover between Luis Garavito and Pedro Garcia. And they both kind of had the same MO. They both used blunt force, torture, cutting, burning, you name it. So both of these men kind of had the same pattern. Pedro Garcia was promptly, when I say promptly, expeditiously, with the quickness, he was apprehended and they threw them braces on that hoe. Like they locked him up. And when he was apprehended, he denied committing the crime. Like he was like, look, it wasn't me. I'm innocent. I didn't do it. You know, all that little shit they always say. So he kept on just declaring his innocence. Now, they were like, nah, little bitch, we got you. This is what it is. You locked up, right? So while Mr. Garcia was locked up, 4 more murders happened. I ain't talking about 4 bodies were found. 4 murders happened back down in Geneva, Colombia. And when I say these officers were in their feelings, and you can't blame them. I mean, there's nothing worse than thinking that, hey, I got this bad guy off the streets and, you know, everything good. And why this man is in jail, like, you got eyes on this dude. Like, you looking at him and he looking at you. And y'all looking at each other. And you're like, yeah, bitch, we got you. And 4 more children wind up dead. Why this man is in your custody? It's safe to say your killer's still out there. Now, the thing was, though, like I said, Pedro Garcia, he wasn't no good dude now. And he had some bodies to his name, but it wasn't those bodies. So he was pretty much being held prisoner for Luis Garavito's dirty work. But they were smart about that. They didn't let him go. Thank you, Jesus, because, you know, Pedro, he was a bad man as well. So, and I'm probably going to do another story about that. That's if y'all don't just blow me up too hard on this one. So, now, they realized, oh my goodness, we done made a costly mistake. And this is probably like the worst mistake because this mistake has cost some other innocent children's lives here. So, they go back down to Geneva, Colombia. And we got good news, though. They find Ivan Sabigal. And Sabigal, he is like, of course, he's frantic, he's panicked. I mean, as anybody would be. And he's like, hey, you know, this guy tried to rape me. This guy, you know, he tried to hold me hostage, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, Ivan was one of the very fortunate ones. He was able to escape. So check this out now. They have Yvonne's mom and, you know, all the detectives, they come down there. They pick Yvonne up now. So they on their way back to the police station. And they just ride now. I mean, you know, everything good. You know, the kid, he's safe and everything. And as they driving, Yvonne head hit that swivel. And he like, there he go. And they like, you know, the mama and the detective, they like, who? There who go? And he's like, the man that kidnapped me and tried to rape me. There bitch go right there. So they pull up real quick and they snatch Mr. Garavito up with the quickness now, okay? So they snatch his little ugly ass up and they ask him his name and he lies and he's like,
why are you detaining me?
You know, my name ain't Luis Garavito. Who you talking about? Who that? Like, this dude just straight up denied everything, right? So they were like, okay, it don't matter because this kid, he identified you, bitch, you still coming down. Like, get your ass in the car. We finna ride down here real quick. We finna book you and we finna go to work, ho. So, yeah, bitch, you caught, you busted, you in custody, what it is. They question him, and of course, he does what any old psychopath slash sociopath slash serial killer slash piece of shit would do. He lies and he continues to deny everything, right? So they get his IDs and everything, right? And keyword, as I said IDs, because sis was trying to hide who he was. I mean, if I was like a serial piece of shit, I'd be trying to hide my shit too. I mean, this is what they do. He lists a different address, and he said he was living in this place called Perea. And sis really thought he was slick, but like, lo and behold, like, dude, you ain't really doing nothing, because guess what? Their body's in Perea too. Like, so in an attempt to throw them off and make them feel like, okay, I'm not the suspect, I'm not your dude, like, he actually made it even more obvious that they had the right guy. They go to his home, and when they get to his home, he has like a female friend there, right? There's like he had a little girlfriend, and which that just blows my mind, because I'm like, you hadn't noticed any like weird behavior with your boo, but whatever. I mean, I guess I'm the only nosy girlfriend, because I'm gonna be all up in your shit, especially we live together. Like, I'm gonna be all in your business, because you ain't even have another woman from me, let alone somebody. It's like, hell no. Like, sis had to have been involved. I'm sorry. And so the crazy thing about it was his girlfriend, she had an 11-year-old son. Terror alert, right? And the police, they questioned her 11-year-old son, and they questioned his girlfriend. His girlfriend's like, okay, like, he is the perfect boyfriend. He's never done anything to my son. And her son, he confirms that he's never been, assaulted or abused by Garavito. And the police are like, okay, like, does he keep any other belongings here? Any other baggage? She's like, you know what? As a matter of fact, he does keep like a lot of belongings here, and they're like in the bedroom closet. I mean, I don't know if she said they were in the bedroom closet, but I mean, more than likely, if he got like extra suitcases and stuff like that, they'll be in the bedroom closet. So the detectives, they retrieve like this suitcase, right? And they bring this back down. They bring the suitcase back down to the police station, and they process it through through for evidence. And what they found were like these souvenirs from kids' clothing to because he had like a drinking problem. Like, he always blamed his murderous behavior on like his alcoholism. Like, yeah, right, I've been drunk plenty of times, I ain't never killed no damn body. I mean, if anything, when I was drunk, I almost killed myself because I fell down a flight of steps. Like, that's the most dangerous thing I've ever been. Like, not a danger to somebody else. And then, like, how do you explain killing up a bunch of children? They ain't got nothing to do with no alcohol, bitch. You just evil as hell. But so they find like all of these souvenirs from all of these victims, and these were children that were missing that they didn't even know about. They start to question this man, right? And of course, the first several hours that go by, this dude like literally just lies and denies, honey. He just like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm a good man. I am a priest. I'm a teacher, which that's what he did. That was how he was able to lure his children. I ain't gonna say his children, his victims. He posed as like a priest. He would pose as a teacher. He'd offer them candy, alcohol, like you name it, just to build their trust. And then this fool will torture them for days and kill them. It's like, at this point, dude, we know you ain't innocent. Like, when I say they investigated this dude so good Then remember I told you about them shoes? They also found a pair of eyeglasses. And with these particular eyeglasses, they found that the arms on the eyeglasses were crooked. And the eyeglasses were so crooked that they could tell that the person who wore them had like a, I guess a, I'm not gonna say deformed, but their face wasn't like symmetric, and nobody's face is like really symmetric, but the symmetry was like super off. Like the ears were kind of crooked, like this place. So not only was this dude like a serial killer, and he walked with a limp like a South Memphis pimp, he had the nerve to be a crooked ear, lopsided head, evil ass mother. It's just too much, honey. It's just way too much. So they're like matching all this stuff up. And they're like, hey, this is you. You got a lopsided head. Your ears crooked. You're ugly.
Because you're not that cute. And your hair is uneven. You look dusty.
You walk with a limp. You ain't that tall. You look stanky. They ain't say all that shit. But, I mean, I ain't got nothing nice to say about you. You do something like that to a bunch of innocent children, all bets are off. Like, you are the worst of the worst, sir. You're horrible, and I hope you, like, burn for real, for real. So, they keep on interrogating this little pussy, because that's what he is. No real man would do that to innocent children. And he kept denying. So they went on for days, honey. Days upon days. And as he would lie and deny, they would bring back more evidence. Like, look, we got you here. A prostitute and a gas station attendant said they saw you with this other kid that came up missing. And, like, they constantly kept stacking evidence against him every time he tried to deny. And I know I'm taking forever doing my eyes, y'all. It should be so hard me to do makeup and talk. I'm trying to do this, you know what I'm saying? So, eventually, he breaks down. And he confesses. And y'all, I'm glad he confessed. But when y'all find out how much he confessed to, it will blow your mind. Mr. Garavito confessed to 100. Yes, 100. As in 1 and 2 zeros behind that joint. 140 murders. How many? So he confessed to 140. And he committed these murders between the years of 1992 and 1998. And there is speculation that he was active through 1999. I'm just going to throw 1999 and the 2000s, like Cash Money, Reckless for the 99 and 2000s, like hell. I throw every year, like if a roach come up dead right now, that hoe did it. Like he just evil. Like he's evil. Okay? Done with it. So they literally was like, hey, we need you to help find the rest of the bodies. And he was able to pinpoint where the rest of the bodies were. And so the crazy part about this, y'all, is even though he told them where the bodies were and he was apprehended in 1999, they're still finding bodies to this day. And these bodies, they're not any like new bodies or anything. They're able to like do predate, because of course DNA and like facial reconstruction, all those things, our technology is a lot better now. So they're finding that this man has literally gotten away with way more than what he said he's gotten away with. Between the years of 1999 and 2004, they found another 49 bodies. So that brings his total, a grand smacking total, to 189 victims here. So he was convicted of 189 murders, even though he confessed to only 140. And I hate to say the word only 140 because one death is too many and 140 is just insane. But he did confess to 140 and he was convicted of 189. And he was given a sentence of 835 years. 835 years now. Because they can't like give life in Colombia. I mean, apparently they need some reform down there because somebody like him needs life, and then like 835 years. I mean, we're not living in biblical times anymore. I don't, last time I checked, I don't think anybody lived for 835 years. Not even a damn turtle. And turtles live longer, turtles live like longer as hell. They can live like 200 years. Not even a koi fish. Like nothing, to my knowledge, is living 835 years. Like, how do you do an 835 year sentence? I want to know. I'm asking for myself. Like, do you die? They just take your bones and sweep them hoes up and put them in a cell by themselves and let your bones sit there for like another 800 years? Because I can see him doing like 35 years before he dies. So, like, how does that work? But I will tell you this though, because they need some reform down there, and this story just like pisses me off just to think about it. It just pisses me off. There is a possibility. Y'all probably already know where I'm going with this. Being the fact that they believe in rehabilitation in Colombia, they said that there is a possibility that he can get out on parole for good behavior without serving his 835 year sentence. And y'all, I don't really know how the legal system works down there. I mean, I'm not going to say that our system here in America is perfect because it sucks ass too. But if you kill upwards of 189 people, it is safe to say that you are beyond, when I say beyond, so far beyond rehabilitation. It's not even, you're not even insane at that point. You're just an evil person. And I find it very unreasonable to let him use the excuse of, because he said that when he was drunk, he killed kids and he was like possessed by demons. No, baby, you're not possessed by demons, bitch. You're the devil. Like, you are the master demon. You are Lucifer himself, bitch. Like, there is no alcohol. There is no Jamie Foxx album that you can blame for that type of behavior. Like, there is no way, Jose. And I ain't even trying to be funny. Like, there is no way in the world alcohol can make you do all that. Like, and if it is, baby, what you drinking? Because, honey, I don't want no parts of it. What is it? Is it the tea? Is it the tea, honey? Is it the twisted iced tea? So currently, being the fact that Colombia does not agree with the death penalty, and they are really not keen on life in prison, even though like an 835 year sentence is life in prison, but whatever. I just happen to be good at math. No. There is a possibility that this man could get out on good behavior. Like, I still can't get past the fact that he can get out on good behavior. Like, when you kill that many people, and I'm not even talking about children, just people in general, let alone a child, there is no amount of good behavior. You're not possible of good behavior. Like, even if after that he like donates his kidney and just goes out and save a bunch of cats and trees and plants a bunch of damn plants on Earth Day, like, there is not a way to redeem yourself. Now, speaking of trying to be good and good behavior. Don't y'all know this lopsided, limp, pimp walking bastard had the nerve to offer to start like a non-profit to help abused children? Yes, at his parole hearing, he had the nerve to sit there and say that he wants to start a non-profit to help abused children. Get the hell out of here. Like, get out. Don't ever come back. I mean, how can you help abused children? How? When you've been killing them for the past 20 years? Not 20. They've been finding bodies for 20 years. But we know for a fact you were active for 10 years. So there is no way possible you could help abused children. Okay? If you want to help abused children, go to hell expeditiously. That's how you help abused children. Like, go to hell, smoke a gasoline-laced blunt while you on the way there, and stick a firecracker up your booty and blow yourself up. That's how you can help an abused child, sir. You're just the worst of the worst. Ew. So, when it came to the rest of his victims, they're still finding bodies. A lot of the remains of these victims have remained unclaimed, unfortunately, because of the circumstances. Now, Colombia as a country, from what I've researched, they're doing a lot better. Now, of course, there's still like some unrest and there's still like some poverty, but there has been a better approach to the children, like the homeless children problem that they had, that was pretty much able to provide a ruse for Mr. Garavito to get away with his evil, dubious deeds with his ugly ass. Unfortunately, we will never really know the true amount of lives that was claimed by Garavito. And then also we have to keep in mind that since then there has also been other active child killers. One that we mentioned earlier, Mr. Pedro Ugly Head Ass Garcia, who also walked with a limp, by the way. What is with these serial killers walking with a limp like a pimp? Ew. I'm telling y'all right now, if y'all meet somebody and y'all can't vouch for their character and you don't know them like that and they come limping towards you and your kids, bitch, run. At this point, if I hear about two of y'all walking with a limp and y'all some serial killers, I'm not gonna give a third person a chance. I don't care. They could be the sweetest person in the world, but I'll never find out. You come limping over here, we running. That's it. They limp, you run, we're done. So the good thing about it though, the parents in the community of the parents of the victim, and as well as other people in the community, they are coming together. Every time that Pedro every time that Mr. Garavito is up for parole, or they say, hey, there's a possibility little girl can be getting out of jail for good behavior, the families of these victims, they show up and they show out, and I am here for it. They keep coming, they keep saying, hey, dude is trash. He killed my son. He killed my nephew, brother, you name it. He's evil. Do not let him out. So there's one thing I can say. Even though there is still a possibility that this man can and will walk the streets again, a lot of the families of the victims in the community in Colombia and Ecuador, they have been holding him accountable and holding him to task and keeping his ass in there, which is really the best for everybody, because you can't rehabilitate anybody like that. Okay? Just can't. And I'm going to snap because now we're done. Okay. Y'all, I just did my lip and everything off camera. I did my lip and I did my lashes off camera. And what I have on my lip today, this is the new Fenty Cream Lip Gloss Bombs in the color Mauve Wives. And I have on the MAC Plum Liner with this one. and I have on the MAC Goddess lashes. So that was the only thing I did. Other than that, I went head on and just did it off camera because there's really nothing impressive about me putting on lashes or a lip. And then also the video was getting a little long-winded. So yeah, this is the finished look. And y'all, this is my very first true crime video. I promise they'll get better over time. So let me know how I did in the comments. Let me know what I could do better. I'm gonna try to cover some topics and some stories and some people y'all don't know anything about. This one here, I mean, this one was a lot. I think it was probably, I stumbled across it mainly because this is my first one, and dude was evil, bro. Like, let me know, like, what do you think about this? And have you heard about this guy before? New to me. So hopefully I shared something new with you all. And y'all also let me know in the comments of what other stories you would like for me to cover. Now, if you haven't done so already, boo sugars, go ahead, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, join the family. I would love to have you. I'm a little small channel trying to become a big channel, trying to grow a little bit, get my bearings straight. Yeah, so make sure you come join the family. Alright, now, if you done saw this video, you being mean, you dislike it for no reason and stuff like that, you ugly. You just ugly. But, yeah. Make sure y'all like, subscribe. Y'all have a happy new year. That's if this upload, excuse me, that's if this upload goes up before the new year. So I love you, boo sugars. Have a happy holiday. Bye.